Hello, everyone. So I'm on here today because I did a few readings today and I get so many downloads throughout the day. I'm sure a lot of you are that way as well, that if I don't share the information, it will escape me. So I thought that it would be a good idea to just jump on here and receive a download I got in a session today, which made a lot of sense to me. You guys know I can be a little outrageous with my analogies because they're not really my analogies. We have this brain that is an interface, and a lot of the messages that I receive from the nine may not be the message they're actually sending, but my brain is the interface and it will gather the information in the way that it deems appropriate. And then I receive these comical visions and stuff. And I do think that the nine kind of know what they're doing when they're sending me these visions. Because our guides are working with our arsenal of knowledge, of tools, and our vocabulary. They're using all of that to convey messages to us. Oh, and before I get into this download, this is important because our guides don't have a physical vessel, and I've had my own struggles with certain things. Like for a long time I was really addicted to the gym and I'd go all the time. I'm in my pajamas and it's 12 o'clock and I haven't gone today. I didn't go 3 days ago, so I've been doing this thing where I go 2 days and then I skip, and then I go 2 days and I skip. And it's been a long, arduous journey. I've been working on healing this for like 4 years. And for the longest time, I would ask my guides, like, please, like, show me how to heal this. I want to be better. I want to see the truth, but I'm not, I don't know how to heal this. And so what I would do is work with what I understood at the time, which was to starve our patterns. So I had days where I would hear my ego say, go to the gym now, and I would defy it, and I would stay home and lay on my bed until the psychic attack subsided. And what I've learned is that our spirit guides are learning, or they're refining, just like we're fine tuning our ability to read energy and our ability to sharpen our intuition and to tune into different thoughts and beliefs and perceptions and studying the cosmos and studying people's patterns. They're also learning about themselves and how they can best assist us on our journey. They don't have a physical vehicle. I remember when I first awakened, I'd be up all night because I had this like warm, spiraling light coursing through my body, but I wasn't getting sleep because they don't know, they don't need to sleep. So then I started setting boundaries with them, like, yo guys, I need to sleep tonight. All right. So no, I do not want to receive the activation. I'm trying to sleep, and I set firm boundaries, but they learn through us as well. They're vested in our evolution because they're learning and growing as we are, as above, so below. If there was nothing in it for them here, which them are us in the future, if there was nothing for them in the future, for them in this, they wouldn't be here. They wouldn't be assisting us. I'm of the belief that, I hear a lot of people say that in the 5D and so on, there's no duality. I have inquired from within, and I think there is. It's just that it manifests differently. It manifests differently. It may not manifest as like people killing each other, but it will manifest in a different fashion because duality is what we need in order to create. When duality is gone, there's nothing left. There's only the 0 point. And then it's God again wanting to create, right? And wanting to use that impetus for creation. So with the gym stuff that I dealt with for a long time, I would use my own tools to try to understand them. And I'm sure they were trying to understand me because when I know what I need to heal, I apply myself. But oftentimes when we're in the midst of struggle, we don't have the solution. So we have to depend and rely on our faith to get through it. So me staying home on days where I didn't go to the gym for many years was really, really hard because my ego wanted to go. I look a certain way when I go. It's all that stuff that gives you a false sense of empowerment because your empowerment is inside. It's not about how you look. It is about that because everything is a balance. And I knew back then that I could just fully forfeit of fitness. And I had the courage and the balls to do that. Like, I'm a pretty ballsy person. But I also knew that wasn't the solution, if that makes sense. What's amazing about our guides is they start to amass more and more knowledge the more intention that you pulse out. And then they're able to work with your physical body because remember, they don't have one to try to send you information in a different fashion. So I've had a breakthrough through this last month or two that it's amazing. But what they've started doing is sending me a movie flash or a GIF or whatever you call them, a GIF. They send me a movie flash of being on a very particular machine at the gym that I usually love. And the second I receive this movie flash, I'm like, ugh, and I have this acidic taste in my mouth, like I do not want to go today. Whereas before, they wouldn't send me the movie flashes. So I had to try to decipher the message on my own. And back then, all I knew to do was to follow my emotions and to obey my inner voice. My inner voice would say, hey, we need you to sacrifice your ego right now because we have things in store for you. And you need to be willing to sacrifice your ego and stay home, even though you might gain a pound, or even though you might think you look uglier, or your face might look a little more bloated. We need you to do that for us. And the us, again, is our guides, but it's also, in the higher dimensions, we work as a collective. That's why we're learning how to live in harmony amongst each other now. That's why we're learning that. We're not here to continue to separate and segregate. We're here to learn how to work together as powerful creator beings, as powerful creators. So let's say you have a successful business and I don't like, to set up webinars. Well, my friend Rex can do that. And then someone else can take care of this or that or this or that, right? That's a collective that may have a similar objective. And in the higher realms, that's how it works. They work as a collective. People think that the Pleiades they're just one breed, they're all the same. They're not. It's a very vast star system with a lot of personality. Different personalities, a wide assortment of energies, but they work as a collective. And a lot of them are assisting you right now, dependent upon what your mission is, depending on what you want to attain. If you're someone who does CrossFit, I've never gravitated to CrossFit. Every time I see people who do CrossFit, I see them as like gladiators. And I'm like the guy in the stand just cheering them on. Like, yeah, I think I'm going to stay right here. But yeah, I assume more of that king energy or that prince energy that's being entertained by the gladiator. It doesn't make me better. The gladiatorship is very important. And I'm tackling that same gladiator energy in different areas. But I may not do it in CrossFit. I may do it in speaking my truth and slaying distruths with my truth. So there are different ways to approach life. There are innumerable options that are available to us. And we get to choose our experience. But if you're someone who does CrossFit and you like that, yeah, right? It probably means that you're aligning yourself to a warrior frequency and to all the realms that focus on that power, that strength, right? I'm just giving you an example. So my breakthrough the last month, or I think it was probably about a month ago, I woke up and my routine is I usually go to the gym at 8 a.m. or 8:30 and then I get into my readings. I woke up and I got this movie flash, like a transference of energy of this imagery, of this visual. And I was like, ugh, like disdained at the thought of being at the gym. And I said, wow, my guides are finally understanding how to communicate to me and what is most efficient. So I just wanted to share that. God, I thought this was going to be a quick video, but here I went on a tangent. So back to the download. Oh yeah, and before I get into the download, just know, ask your spirit guides, show them what you need. Hey, I need you to speak to me visually. I need you to speak to me in the best way that would be fitting for where I am right now. I need you to send me visuals, or I need you to send me a smell, or I need you to... This helps a lot. It helps a lot. Because what you're doing is it's almost like having presets or settings in your energy field that are divinely guided, where you can say, spirit guides, show me the way. I don't know. I'm in my struggle. So when I'm in my struggle, I can't really see clearly. And that's the truth. When we are in the midst of a massive lesson, oftentimes we're not able to see what's around us or within us. There's a veil that's separating us from the truth. So it's advisable to reach out to your guides and ask them and show them what you need, how you best respond to instructions. So back to the download I got on my session, and this was a crazy analogy, and it's pretty funny, but please don't judge me for my analogies. It actually made a lot of sense to me. Um, if a 7-year-old girl tries to grow boobs, and because she wants to become a woman again, we've had a lot of lifetimes, and sometimes we just want to pick up from where we left off. So we want to grow up so that we can tackle those lessons again. There can be a hefty amount of reasons as to why a 7-year-old would want to grow boobs. Maybe she wants to imitate her parents or her mom, or maybe she's trying to get back to a lesson that she didn't get to clear in another life. It doesn't matter how hard that 7-year-old girl tries to grow boobs, it will not happen. It will not happen. And that's the analogy I got, because we were talking about how everything in life has a divine cosmic order. And some things cannot be forced forward. They just cannot. They cannot. And there's a reason for this. There's a reason, because I'll give you an example. This is just coming to me now. If this 7-year-old wants to become a woman again because she wants to tackle her lessons around love or independence or success, well, not having those boobs is going to have her think about things and blah, 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 and then that's expansion in and of itself. But sometimes we're too focused on the end result. There is no end game. That's what we have to understand. This is a journey. And when your third eye is really open, you already know what's coming. You already know. You already know what's coming. So you end up taking the scenic route because you're like, ooh, I like knowing what's coming. It's fun. It's fun that it's not here yet, but I know what's coming. So when your third eye is open, you have access to your future selves, which to me is a different thing than your higher self. You have access to your future selves, to the timelines that await you, to the timelines that are arriving very soon, very imminently. So you're not in a rush to get there because you already know. Oftentimes, we want to grow boobs before it's time, or we want to fix people or rescue them from their hardships, not realizing that none of that is going to work. You cannot grow boobs if it's not time. Our DNA has been coded. It has codes. Your DNA has codes. And a lot of those codes are crystal codes, meaning that they're connected to the non-physical realms, to the metaphysical, to the paranormal, to the quantum realities. Those strands of your DNA are going to activate and turn on when it's time. When it's time, you cannot force it forward. Just like you can't plant a seed and expect it to sprout overnight. It's not going to happen. It takes time to grow. And why does it take time for it to grow? Well, because there may be soul lessons that we have to learn more patience, that we have to accept. Acceptance is huge. We have to accept our current circumstances. And what the Nine are saying right now is we need to learn how to work with our emotions. We need to learn how to work with our emotions. What's outside of you is, what's outside of you is a holographic projection of what you have going on inside. So if you can see with your third eye that you're going to be this woman someday, but you want to get there now, then obviously there's a karmic lesson that needs to be learned around patience. And by not having the boobs, I'm sorry you guys, this is horrible, not having the boobs or whatever, by not having the soulmate that you want to have, the person who's unavailable at this time, or by not being able to help someone who's not ready to see, then you get to learn more about yourself. When my Kundalini first awakened in 2011, it actually woke up in 2006. That's when I first felt it, but then I was hospitalized, and then it went back to sleep because I didn't know what meditation was, and then I was on med, so it went back to sleep for 5 years. In 2011, my Kundalini would only rise at 4, 5 p.m. when the sun would start to set. I was so aggravated by this, so aggravated. And at the same time, I had a very clear line of communication with my guides. And I said to them, why is it that my Kundalini won't arise until nighttime? And I got a few answers. One of them was because the Kundalini is the Shakti, and the Shakti is the feminine, and the feminine is associated with the moon. And I knew all this information without going on Google. You understand? So they showed me that the Kundalini was of the Shakti energy, which is a feminine, and it is directly associated to the moon, which is why I feel super, super active at night. But that wasn't enough for me. I felt like that was just one piece of it, as all things are. There are many pieces to this puzzle, which is why it's advisable to never lock anything in, right? And I asked them, well, what is it? They said, it's because you're still frustrated. Because we don't want you to lean on that Kundalini as an emotional crutch. We don't want you to have that crutch to lean on in order to feel like your full self. We need you to accept yourself during the day. We need you to accept yourself during the day. You may not be in an altered state of consciousness, but there's a lot to be learned in that particular dimension. See, I see dimensions as different levels of consciousness. And within every level of consciousness, there are different worlds, there are different beings. So you and I are part of the same world right now, which is a collective agreement. But we may be at different levels of consciousness, but there is a collective agreement that the weather will be the same in LA for everyone on a particular day, or that the political atmospheres or the political arenas will be the same across the board, and we're all humans, and this is a world, but then there are different levels of consciousness within that world. I think that when we connect to dragons, we may not see dragons physically, but we're accessing a level of consciousness where dragons exist. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that right now. So what I was saying is that, yes, they said to me, Phil, you need to be accepting of your current situation in regards to the Kundalini, because you're trying to get there too soon. And now that you're awake, you need to pay attention to everything that's going on when you don't have the Kundalini to rely on. And I accepted my situation. I functioned within that dimension of feeling more flat during the day. And once I learned what needed to be learned, then the Kundalini started waking up when I asked it to. 2 conscious breaths. And what's funny is I don't always want it to be awake now, because I enjoy bopping around. I like feeling human sometimes, and then I like feeling extraterrestrial sometimes. You know? So there's beauty in all things. So whenever you're trying to force something forward, please understand there's a lesson that is concealed in your circumstance that is wanting to reveal itself to you, but you have to be willing to accept your situation in order to see that lesson. We cannot save people. People have to come to their own conscious realizations on their own time. And believe me when I tell you that your DNA has been encoded, and they are those buttons, or those, it's like a switchboard in here. So those switches turn on when it's time. If you've been trying to have a Kundalini awakening, but your guides don't feel like you're ready for that, it will not happen, no matter how much you try. Now, that's not saying, we're not saying that you stop meditating, right? That's the whole point. It's about improving yourself and bettering yourself and challenging yourself all day long without getting too affixed to the concrete outcome. We're so focused on physical evidence that we forget what this journey is about. We're always wanting proof. Prove that there are aliens. We want alien disclosure. Let me tell you something. We're here. I'm an alien. A lot of you are aliens. We want physical proof, and we don't understand. Sorry, the screensaver. We want physical proof, and we don't understand half the time that everything is energy. What do you think a starseed is? It's an ET in human form. We've borrowed these physical meat suits to transmit a certain frequency, which would ripple through eternity, which would seed this planet with energies of the future so that they can sprout in their own time. You get the idea? A lot of us are awakening. Not everyone can awaken overnight. It will be an incremental process. Everything happens in increments, and there's a divine cosmic order to all things. So if you haven't achieved a blissed out state, or you haven't achieved the Kundalini rising, there's a reason for that. Humility is really important. I see so many people who act like kings, but they've never learned to be a servant. And that energy is peppered all over their aura. I see it. You haven't done the work. You haven't built at the grassroots. I don't judge the experience, but objectively speaking, I can see that if someone's trying to act like a king and then they're not getting the service they need, and they get mad at people at the customer service, and they can't even contain themselves, that's a trauma that's playing out. A trauma that has not been dealt with. So I see a lot of kings out there. I see a lot of artificial kings out there who are kings. I mean, the truth of who they are is that they really can be that king. But first we have to learn how to serve. And when you build yourself from the ground up and you speak, people hear that resonance of truth. You can't fake that. You know, I can say to you, or you can say to me, Phil, I don't think what you're wearing, well, obviously right now I'm in pajamas. So, but if I go out and I wear something and you're like, Phil, I don't think that's very attractive. I don't think you should be wearing that, you know? And then, I believe you because you have truth flowing through you and pouring out of you. Someone else may tell me that they don't like my outfit and there's judgment in it. I won't listen to them, right? They're just projecting. But when someone speaks with truth and conviction, you listen. So my point here is, if you're out there trying to rescue someone, a lover, or you think that you have to go save them in some capacity, or that you want to start a business when your guys are like screaming like, please don't do it, please make a U-turn and come back over here. Please come back over here and keep focusing inwardly because it's not quite time yet. The oven hasn't dinged. If you try to force that forward, it's only going to backclap. It's going to be a backclap or a clap back every time. Because things have an order. And we're here to co-create within the circumstances we find ourselves in. We're here to co-create within the circumstances that we find ourselves in. And again, there can be so many lessons as to why you can't grow those boobs. It's not just one thing. It can be that not having them will clear a karmic debt from a life you had when you were that woman with the boobs, right? Because it'll be frustrating and eventually you'll give up and then you clear a lesson. That's just one example. I can give you infinite examples, but that's just one example. A lot of times we want to go outside of ourselves to fix things. You know, I was speaking to a client today that went to, I believe it was Bali, and they were in a meditative space or retreat, and someone behind her started having like started, like her body started shaking, which is usually just an electrical jolt from the higher dimensional light, and your body can't handle it. So it's like you're going through something. And she got up and shook her out of it. And it's like, from one viewpoint, that was kind. From another viewpoint, the sensible thing to do is ask your guides, should I be interfering with this person's journey right now? They could be having a breakthrough, and maybe I'm not supposed to interfere, you know? So this is just an example to show you that nothing is one way. And sometimes people are having a really phenomenal experience and they might be looking like they have a seizure. And then you interrupt it, and it's like, what drove you to interrupt them? Was it a trauma of yours? And that's why it's so important to be inquisitive, to ask your guides, am I doing this from a place of lack? Am I driven by trauma? Am I wanting to save someone because I don't have the wherewithal within myself to process my own emotions? It's important to look within and inspect your energy field thoroughly, right? So, certain things cannot be forced forward. They just can't. They have their own time. So be patient, exercise patience, exercise acceptance of where you are. Acceptance is a code, just so you guys know. Acceptance connects to a light code. And when you are in acceptance of your situation, something within your DNA turns on. And when you are in gratitude, it's a different code than acceptance, but something in your DNA turns on. And when you are forgiving of people, something in your DNA turns on. They're all codes that we can switch on within our DNA fields, within our memory fields. And every time you do that, a new memory springs forward from a past life, from a future life, from an alternate reality. You guys know we don't limit it to past or future. That's just a linear concept, but it's still a valid concept. So we want to pay attention. What is my motivation? Do I have an agenda? Why am I wanting to get there ASAP? Time does not exist in the fifth dimensional reality. So why am I so pressed for answers or to open a door that's meant to be closed? Ask yourself. I hope that this message helps you. It all spawned from one little download that was comical in session, and I will try to do this a little more often because I receive downloads throughout the day. It never stops. But I also have a life, and I wouldn't be good to myself if I shared every single download that I received. But when I feel inspired to, and I feel like it's important, I will come on here and, share that information with you guys. So I love you. If you haven't subscribed, I really appreciate it. It encourages me to do more videos. Not that I need the encouragement, but you guys know what I mean. It's a co-creation. Everything we do is a co-creation. People need to understand that. I hear a lot of people talk about, like, I'm the universe. Yes, you are from one viewpoint. And from another viewpoint, you're wearing those clothes because you bought it at a store. So that's a co-creation. And the electricity in your house is a co-creation, with the company that you're with. So everything is a co-creation. And the sooner that we accept that, the more that we can work in unison, the more that we can work in concert with each other to birth this new earth reality. That's just the bottom line. Now, if you say to me, you are the entire universe, and then you're homeless, and you lose your electricity, and you lose everything, and then you're still the universe, damn, okay, cool, you're the universe then. I love you guys so much. Please subscribe. And then I appreciate you commenting. I read them. I read your messages. I love them. And that's it. All right? Much light, much blessings, and sending you infinite love as always.